This doctrine, shared by all schools of Buddhism, posits that all phenomena, or dharmas, arise and exist in dependence upon other phenomena. The classical formulation encapsulates this. If this exists, that exists. If this ceases to exist, that also ceases to exist. This is not merely a statement about temporal succession but a profound assertion about the conditioned and contingent nature of all existence. Nothing possesses an independent, self-sustaining mode of being. Everything is part of a vast, dynamic web of mutual causality. The teaching is often illustrated through the 12 links nidanas in the chain of dependent origination: ignorance, avidya, mental formations, samskara, consciousness, vijnana, name and form, namarupa, the six sense spheres, sadayatana, contact, spasa, feeling, vedana, craving, tresna, clinging, upadana, becoming, bhava, birth, jati, and finally, aging and death, jaramarana. This chain demonstrates how suffering, dukkha, arises from a cascade of interconnected and conditioning factors, perpetuating samsara, the cycle of repeated birth, death, and rebirth. The goal of Buddhist practice, in large part, is to understand and break this chain. The implications of Pratitya-samutpada for a vision of universal interconnectedness are far-reaching. It inherently negates the possibility of any isolated, self-contained entity. Every object, every event, every being is what it is only in relation to other objects, events, and beings. This concept evolved in later Buddhist thought into explicit doctrines of interdependence and the interconnectedness of all things, influencing ideas such as the butterfly effect, where a small action can have vast, unforeseen consequences, and forming a philosophical basis for engaged Buddhism, which applies these principles to social and ecological concerns. Within this framework of universal conditionality, cause and effect are not seen as absolute, separately existing entities. Instead, they are themselves dependently arisen and mutually defining. A cause is only designated as such in relation to an effect, and an effect is only an effect because of its cause. They co-arise and are intelligible only in relation to each other. This understanding of Pratitya-samutpada, with its denial of inherent, independent existence, directly lays the groundwork for the equally crucial Buddhist concept of sunyata emptiness. If a phenomenon's existence is entirely contingent upon other phenomena for its arising and sustenance, it logically follows that it cannot possess an unchanging, independent essence or self-nature that defines it from within. This very lack of an intrinsic, independent essence is what sunyata describes. Thus, Pratitya-samutpada can be seen as the functional explanation or logical precursor to the doctrine of emptiness. This foundational principle challenges anthropocentric views by situating human existence within the same intricate web of conditionality that governs all other phenomena, thereby fostering a profound sense of ecological and cosmic interconnectedness. B. Sunyata emptiness, the nature of reality. Sunyata, often translated as emptiness, vacuity, or voidness, is a cornerstone of Mahayana Buddhist philosophy and represents one of its most profound and often misunderstood concepts. Crucially, sunyata does not signify nihilism, a denial of existence, or a literal void. Rather, it points to the absence of svabhava, an intrinsic, independent, and unchanging essence or self-nature that entities are conventionally perceived to possess. Phenomena are empty, in the sense that they lack such an inherent, self-sufficient mode of being. As stated in Mahayana texts, all things are empty of intrinsic existence and nature svabhava. Coleman further clarifies that sunyata is the total absence of inherent existence and self-identity with respect to all phenomena. This concept can be understood through both negative and positive formulations. The negative formulation emphasizes what emptiness is not. It is not a thing in itself, much like the sky can be described as empty of clouds or birds but is not itself a tangible entity defined by that emptiness. The positive formulation, particularly prominent in traditions like Mahamudra and Dzogchen, use sunyata as openness, or potentiality, inseparable from clarity or luminosity. This evokes the metaphor of a womb, empty of current contents but laden with possibilities, suggesting that emptiness is the very condition that allows for the dynamic arising and manifestation of all phenomena. Sunyata fundamentally underpins the doctrine of dependent origination and leads to a non-dual understanding of reality. Because phenomena are empty of svabhava, their existence is necessarily relational, contextual, and dependently arisen. They do not exist in isolation but are constituted by their relationships and conditions. This understanding dissolves the rigid, conventional distinctions between subject and object, self and other, leading to a profound appreciation of non-duality. The philosopher Nagarjuna, a key exponent of sunyata, stated that all things are empty because they have no essence, meaning they lack an innate self-nature of their own. Those things that are dependently originated are, by that very fact, empty in form. The realization of emptiness is not merely an intellectual exercise but a dynamic and liberating understanding central to achieving wisdom prajna and liberation from suffering dukkha. Suffering, in the Buddhist view, arises significantly from clinging upadana to falsely perceived permanent, independent selves and objects. If entities are fundamentally empty of such inherent existence, then our grasping onto them as solid, real, and capable of providing lasting satisfaction is based on a fundamental misapprehension of their true nature. The wisdom that perceives emptiness allows for the cessation of this clinging, thereby alleviating suffering. Furthermore, the positive interpretation of emptiness as boundless potentiality implies that it is not a mere negation but the very fertile ground from which the intricate dance of dependent origination can unfold. If things possessed a fixed, immutable intrinsic nature, they could not change, interact, or give rise to other phenomena. The emptiness of fixed being is thus a prerequisite for the dynamism of praditya samutpada. C. simultaneity